I can see it.
All right, good afternoon or good evening, everybody. My name is Catherine from SEB Housing, and this is the lottery drawing for the 40 affordable units, affordable rental units at Hanover, Stoneham. So I'm going to get the lottery underway in just a few moments. If you have any questions during this session, though, you're encouraged to go ahead and type them into the chat box in Zoom, or you can unmute yourself momentarily to ask the question. So when you came into the meeting, you should have heard that the session tonight is being recorded, and that is because we are going to post it to SEB Housing's YouTube channel for anyone who wasn't able to join and wants to review the lottery drawing after the fact. So I just want to give some background information before I do the actual drawing. All of this information really is going to be sent to you by email after the lottery drawing tonight. It'll give you a rundown of the applicant pool we have, so how many people applied for each bedroom size, and all of that. So if you were approved for this lottery, you should already have a lottery application number, and it should be between, it was in this form of a dot, a series of numbers. So it's between the numbers A.001 and A.0161. If you don't have that, or if you misplaced it, please let us know. That is the number that will be drawn rather than your name during the drawing tonight. And so that 40 total affordable units, we had 151 completed applications. So there's going to be 151 households in this lottery drawing. For the 5 studio apartments, there were a total of 19 applications. For the 23 one-bedroom apartments, there was a total of 39 completed applications. Of those 23 one-bedroom apartments, there is 1 unit that has disabled accessible features, and there were 3 households that indicated that they require those accessible features. So those 3 applicants will have priority for that accessible one-bedroom unit. There are also 10 total 2-bedroom apartments, and there were a total of 59 completed applications for those 2 bedrooms. Of those 2-bedroom units, 1 of them has disabled accessible and hearing impairment accessible features, and there were 3 households that indicated a need for at least the disabled accessible features. So they will have priority for that 1 2-bedroom that has the accessible features. There's also 2 3-bedroom apartments, and there were a total of 72 applications for those 3 bedrooms. So back when you completed your application, your lottery application, you would have indicated, and we will have confirmed your household type. And it was either a type 1, 2, or 3. It's loosely based off of your household size. So you just want to keep in mind that for the 2-bedroom waiting list, type 2 households will have priority over any type 1 households on the waiting list. And for 3-bedroom units, type 3 households will have priority over type 2 and type 1 households. So that's because the affordable housing program is designed so that smaller households don't have priority for units with more bedrooms than their family actually needs. There's also local preference or priority for several of the affordable units. If you answered yes to the local preference question on the lottery application, and we confirmed when you received your email with your lottery application number, it will have indicated whether or not you are going to be considered a local preference household. And then, of course, the accessible units will have priority. Well, the households who have a need for those accessible features will have priority for those accessible units. So all of that is to say, when the drawing takes place tonight, you're not going to know for certain where you fall on the waiting list, even if you're drawn first. And that's because I need to sort the results from tonight's drawing in order to compile the waiting list. So tonight, the lottery is kind of just a necessary step in the process. And then later on tonight, I will be sorting the results onto the waiting list and taking all of the priorities that I just mentioned into consideration when compiling those waiting lists. The waiting list will be sent to you hopefully by tonight, if not by tomorrow morning. So you'll know a lot more in terms of where you fall on the waiting list in a little while. So there's going to be 2 drawings. It's going to be digitally randomized. So I'm going to be using a website called random.org to complete the drawing. I'll first do the local preference drawing. That's only going to include the 33 households who indicated that they either live in Stoneham or work full-time in the town of Stoneham. I'll insert those application numbers into a function on the website. I'll show you a demo in just a second about that so you get a sense of what I'm talking about. Into a function called a list randomizer. It's going to digitally generate a random order of those 33 numbers. And you know, we're doing it this way to try to keep the results as truly random as possible. After that local preference drawing, I will do the same thing with all 151 lottery households. And the list randomizer, again, will digitally generate a random order, and that will be the lottery drawing. I'm not going to be pulling numbers or you know, using a bingo wheel or anything like that that you might think of with a drawing. It's just going to be instantaneous, and I will screen share so you can see it happen. And let me just give you a demo of that now. This is not the lottery drawing, but I'm going to go online. I'm going to go to random.org. I'm going to share my screen now so you can see what that looks like. I'm going to put in just numbers 1 through 5, not the lottery numbers, but just this is random.org. I'm going to click list randomizer. I'm going to type in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I click randomize, it gives me it spits out a random order of numbers. So when I put in all the lottery numbers, it's going to be, you know, in the format of A.001 through A.0161, which are the lottery numbers. So I'll come back on here and share my screen again in 2 minutes. And you'll be able to see the drawing itself when it is run. But that's what it'll look like. And there is 151 applicants in the lottery. The numbers go up to 161 because we had some duplicates and some withdrawals and things like that. So that's the reason that it goes up to 161, even though there's only 151 applicants. Just wanted to mention that because sometimes there's questions about why the numbers don't quite mesh. So the order that random.org generates for these 2 drawings is going to allow me to properly sort the results onto the waiting list tonight. The waiting list determines the order in which households will get to reserve units. So it's important to remember that the order from tonight's drawing, again, is not the final order of the waiting list because I'll be sorting the results after the fact. So after the lottery, after I have sorted all the results onto the waiting list, an email will be sent from info@sebhousing.com to, or actually it might be from no reply at sebhousing.com because this is a larger lottery. But it'll come from one of those 2 addresses. It will have the waiting list attached to it along with some other information that that I'm going over tonight as well. And you'll be able to see the waiting list there, and you'll be able to see if your lottery application number is highlighted in green. And if it is, that's indicating that your household is going to be immediately invited forward to move on to the next step in the process, which is to complete a lease application with the leasing office over at Hanover Stoneham. And that will be because your lottery application number is towards the beginning of the waiting list. So just give me 1 second here. So once you complete that lease screening with the leasing office, if you're one of those top applicants, and if you're found lease eligible with them, the households with the highest priority on the waiting list will have the first chance to select and reserve one of the affordable apartments. So if you're not one of the top households on the waiting list, you won't be moving forward right away in the process. But if for any reason households ahead of you on the waiting list, you know, either decide not to rent the unit or found ineligible, then if you're placed further down the waiting list, you will be contacted and asked to move forward as well. Usually, you know, we have 40 units. It's not usually just 40 people who are screened. So there will be more people who are screened. And so if you're not one of the very top households, you shouldn't lose hope of being able to move forward in the process because you may be able to do that, just not right away. So since you still have a couple screenings to go through, we always advise anyone, even if you're the first person on one of these waiting lists, don't give notice to your current landlord if you're renting, because you still, like I said, have a couple more screenings to go through to be eligible for one of these units. Because so far we have only seen what you've self-reported for your income on your lottery application. And so once you're found to be lease eligible, you'll be referred back to SCB Housing, and we'll then require you to submit all of your income, asset, and tax documentation so we can do your final affordable housing program eligibility review. Excuse me. And if you're found eligible after we've looked at all your income information, you will be then able to sign a lease for the unit that you've reserved with the leasing office. Every household who was found eligible for this lottery, you should have received a documentation requirements guide, and that was sent to you either as an attachment or a hyperlink in the email that you received your lottery application number in. So it's basically just meant to be a guide to let you know some more details on everything you'll need to submit for this final review, and how many pay stubs, how many tax returns, bank statements, that sort of thing. And you'll have about 10 days to submit all that information into SCB Housing when the time comes. So these affordable units at Hanover Stoneham, they're scheduled to be available for occupancy next month. So there shouldn't be much of a wait at all for applicants who have completed all of their required screenings to be able to sign a lease. Final reminder before I do the drawing, for any households that are living in a affordable apartment, you will need to recertify each year with the leasing office. So we always just remind applicants at the lottery that if you end up leasing one of these units, that you need to maintain a record of your income and tax documentation for as long as you're living in the unit. So just try to keep a file aside of pay stubs and tax returns and that sort of thing, because you will be asked to provide that to the leasing office once a year. So if you sign a lease for December or say January of 2025, sometime in the fall of 2025 is when they would be initiating your recertification for this unit. They do it a few months ahead of time, ahead of your lease renewal. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to get back on random.org. Before I run the drawing, does anyone have any questions about what I mentioned so far? All right, if not, I'm going to run the local preference drawing first. I'm going to share my screen again. So sharing my screen, I'm back on random.org. I have a spreadsheet here that has the 33 application numbers for local preference households. So they're all right here. I'm going to copy and paste those and put them into the list randomizer function. So here's this list randomizer. I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet here. These are the 33 application numbers for the local preference household. So I'm going to copy and paste those. And I'm going to save the results, and then I'll go back so you'll be able to see the results. Or if you are on the phone and can't see the screen, I will let you know where your number fell in the drawing tonight. Although, again, these aren't the waiting lists yet. It's not going to tell you a whole lot of where you fall, but still, we'll let you know. So here we go. This is the 33 local preference households. So this is the local preference drawing for Hanover Stoneham. I'm going to click randomize, and that's the drawing right there. I'm going to just copy and paste this so it's easier for you to see if you're on the call right now. And just give me a moment to make this a little bit easier to see. I'm going to save that. This was the local preference drawing. So I'm going to hide this just so we don't have any confusion. And I'm going to do both drawings, and then I will come back in here so you're able to see the results, okay? So I'm going to clear out of this completely. and I'm going to now do the main drawing. So this is the general drawing, all households, all 151 households who were approved for this lottery are now in the general drawing. I'm going to take those 151 numbers and put them into the list randomizer that's going to generate that random order for the lottery drawing. So this is the general drawing, all households, 151 households for the Stoneham Hanover lottery. So I clicked randomize again. These are that's the order here. I'm gonna again come back over here and do the same thing. So just give me 1 second and then I will scroll down both of these so you're able to see the results of the drawing. All right, so I'm going to increase the size here. It's a little easier to see if you are on your computer right now. So this is the local drawing here, just 33 application numbers here. So I'm going to scroll down. As you can see, the order drawn is right here in column D. Lottery application number is in column E. So the person with A.0020 was the first number drawn in the local preference drawing. And I'm going to scroll down just so you can see all 33 here. If you were a local preference household, you should see your lottery application number there. Both of these drawings are just giving an order of priority for me to be able to sort the results onto the waiting list later on tonight. So this is the general drawing here. So all 151 numbers are on the screen now. You can only see about 15 at a time, but I will scroll down here. And then if you didn't see your number as you're looking at your screen, or if you want me to look it up for you, I'll be able to tell you where your application number was drawn in tonight's drawing. So once I get down to the bottom, if you don't see your number, you can put your lottery application number in the chat, or if you're on the phone, you can unmute yourself and let me know. And once again, it doesn't tell you a whole lot right now because type 1 households, type 2 households, type 3 households, everyone is mixed in here. We don't know which of these applicants applied for which unit size. But this is the drawing results. So almost at the bottom now, if anyone would like me to look up their application number, go ahead and send me a message in the Zoom chat, and I will verbally respond with your placement.
Can we ask you now?
Sure. Yep. Since you're on the phone, yeah, you're not able to type it in. Go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. A0128.
0128. You are 100. Hold on a second. You were drawn 104th in the general drawing, and you were not on the list. Yep.
Yep.
And then, all right, I'm going to go into the chat here. 117 is the first one here in the chat, so I'm going to go to that first. Sorry. That back up here. All right, so 0117. You were 148th in the general drawing, and you were not part of the local drawing. A.0016. So number 16, basically, you were 59th in the general drawing. 310031. You were 80th in the general drawing. 0139. You were 127th in the general drawing, not on the local list. 155, so 0155. You were 102nd in the general drawing. 0102. You were second in the local drawing. And on the general list, you were 54th. 0012. You were 143rd in the general drawing. That's all I have right now. So if anybody else did not hear their number, if you typed it in, let me know. I think I got everybody in the chat there. And once again, these results are just the lottery drawing results, but all of the waiting lists, there's 10 of them actually, will be populated tonight with the results from this drawing. And you will have an email from either info@scbhousing.com or noreply@scbhousing.com, and you can reply to it. And if you have any questions, once you get that email that has the waiting list attached and some more information from tonight, please let me know by replying to the email and asking for clarification. But hopefully it's clear and you're able to find your lottery application number. All right, so if there's not any other questions, I'll end the call now. And so question here, does this mean we're not selected? So everyone is selected in the lottery, meaning that every lottery application number is drawn in the lottery. So everyone's going to have a placement on at least one waiting list. If you applied for both a studio and a 1-bedroom or both a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom, you're going to be on multiple waiting lists. Everyone will have a place on both the local and the general drawing list, even if you don't have local preference. You just won't have as high of a priority if you're not local preference. So question here, though, I don't know if I already looked at your number, but 0155, you were 102nd on the general list. So you will have a place on the waiting list. We just don't know where that is yet. And then another question here is 0087. You were drawn. I don't know why this isn't liking me right now. Oh. 0087. was 130th. And I think I saw one other. How many units are available? So there are. I'm going to go to the info pack so you can see the breakdown here. So there's 40 units total. And if I go to page 3 of the information packet that you may have seen, there are 5 studios, 23 1-bedrooms, 10 2-bedrooms, 2 3-bedrooms. 0102. You were drawn second. Yeah, we already, I think, had yours, right? You were drawn second in the local lottery and 54th in the general lottery. What time should we look for the next step for 2-bedrooms? So the waiting list will be sent to you either tonight or tomorrow morning at the latest. And once you get that, you'll be put in contact with the leasing office. The leasing office's information will be listed on that in the email that you receive. And the next step, if you are one of the top households highlighted in green on one of the waiting lists, you'll be, your next step is to complete a lease screening with the leasing office within the next week or so. And that's the next step, just to be lease screened, which usually entails, reference checks, credit checks, that sort of thing. And if you're found lease eligible, you'll then need to complete your final program screening with SCB Housing, and that's when you'll submit all of your income and asset information and all of that. One more number here, 0106. 0106, in the general drawing, you were second. Yep, Karna, I see your hand there. You have a question?
Can you check for me 0130, please?
0130. Yep, so in the general drawing, 0130 was 110th, not on the local list.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else?
That's all.
Sure.
Thank you.
0116, no problem. 0116, you were 7th in the general drawing, not on the local list. So you can look out for an email from us at SCB Housing either tonight or tomorrow morning at the latest with the waiting list attached, a lot of the information that I went through tonight, and you'll have more of a idea of if you'll be moving forward in this process right away, because if you are, your number will be highlighted in green. Again, these drawings tonight are just a step in the process, but we still need to sort the results onto the waiting list, because everyone has a lottery application number, and all of the lottery application numbers were drawn tonight, but we haven't sorted the results onto the waiting list, which is when you will know if you're moving forward in the process and where you fall on the waiting list. So a lot more information to come in that email later on tonight or tomorrow morning. Any other questions before I wrap up? So again, we don't know who's first on the waiting list or anything yet. Question here, what does number 7 mean? So I think that was what I just told you. Yeah, so 0116 is your lottery application number. You were drawn 7th in the lottery for the general drawing, but we still need to sort the results onto the waiting list. So we don't yet know where you are going to be on these waiting lists for each of the unit sizes, but you have a high or quite a high lottery application number, which should be favorable for you. So depending on who is ahead of you here, you may be towards the top of your waiting list, but still need to sort everything out and see the results. So if you have any questions once you get that email, please let me know, and I will look forward to getting any of the questions if you have them, and just one last opportunity here if anyone has questions for me before I wrap it up. Thank you. I appreciate everybody who joined in, and we'll be in touch very soon. Thank you all. Good night.